The question is the internet has transformed the way information is shared. Okay, but also created some problems. Now the hint is within that essay. Problem solution essay के अंदर आपसे ये पूछा जाता है either ये कि problems क्या पैदा होंगे इस phenomena के वजह से, या किन प्रॉब्लम्स की वजह से फिनोमेना पैदा हुआ है. ओके, द हिंट इज राइट हियर. इफ यू लुक केयरफुली, यहां पे लिखा हुआ है इंटरनेट हैज क्रिएटेड प्रॉब्लम्स. ओके, सो ऑल वी नाउ नीड to do is identify them. ठीक है, केयरफुली पढ़ेंगे समझ लग जाएगी. what are the most serious problems associated with the internet and what solutions can you suggest. okay, so as with all paragraphs, हमने 4 body paragraphs ही बनाने हैं. intro, body 1, body 2 and conclusion. तो जो प्रॉब्लम सोल्यूशन ऐसे होता है, इसका इंट्रो जो होता है उसमें आपने पहले में उसको जो है वो डेफिनेटली वैसे ही करना है. यू हैव टू रीफ्रेज द क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन को जैसे ही आपने रीफ्रेज करना है उसके बाद आपने एक इस तरह की लाइन लिखनी जैसे हमने अभी यहाँ पर लिखी हुई है, विच इज दिस essay will explore 2 of the problems. if you have 1 problem to write 1 problem, if you have 2 problems to write 2 problems. ठीक है, and then you will also say it will also propose measures which might address them. But you can rephrase this line if you guys want, but like you don't have to. Now there are 2 ways to structure the body. If you have 1 problem and 1 solution, structure the problem in 1 paragraph, structure the solution in another. If you have 2 problems, 2 solutions, then you can go both 2 ways. One is that you, as I've done here, is that in 1 paragraph you have the problem and its solution. Then in the other paragraph you have the second problem with the second solution. There is another way of doing it, which is that you combine both of the problems in 1 paragraph and both of the solutions in 1. But it gets a little tricky because if you fail to correlate which problem has what solution or which solution belongs to, so then it gets muddied. Okay, so I will suggest that let's not confuse the reader. तो मैं इसलिए prefer करता हूँ कि what you need to do is like, yes, so जौन सी प्रॉब्लम आपने एक्सप्लेन की, आपने प्रॉब्लम को डेवलप करना है. एज हमने पहले पीछे पढ़ा हुआ है, व्हेन यू आर डेवलपिंग अ पैराग्राफ आपने अपना प्रॉब्लम पहले बताना है. सो यू स्टार्ट विद द टॉपिक स्टेटमेंट, यू आइडेंटिफाई द प्रॉब्लम, देन यू एक्सप्लेन, यू गिव रीजंस और एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ व्हाई इट इज हैपनिंग. यू कैन गिव अ एग्जांपल और यू कैन गिव a resulting statement, and once you've done that you should immediately follow it up with like, okay, this is how you can tackle this issue. Okay, and then you can propose whatever you're saying. And okay, and one thing you must remember, that if there is something like your opinion asked in the question, if the question asks for your opinion, you should give personalized language like, I think if you do this, this will happen. If the question is missing this personal expression, तो फिर आपने भी नहीं use करना. As you can see in this essay, I have not done that. Right, so I'm not including myself. Okay, so सिर्फ expression language नहीं बस use करनी, expressive language. अगर question prompt में आपसे पूछा जा रहा है कि do you think, like in your opinion, then you can add something like that. But if it is not there, ठीक है, then you don't have to. It's a very, very, very small thing. It's not gonna like सारा ऐसे गलत नहीं हो जाएगा. Just a small point, but I wanted to clarify that. So हमने क्या कहा, हमने जी identify किया जी कि private data जो है, it is more vulnerable to theft, and then we support it with, this is because the information is increasingly stored electronically and thus obviously can be hacked. And once we explain that, we come to the solution, which is to tackle this issue. Now it is important that you have some identifier here which gives the reader a flag up, the heads up that this is not what's going to come up. And so you say, okay, this is how you can, in this case we're saying that sensitive information should be legally required to install, like the company should be legally required to install the strictest anti-hacking or the latest anti-hacking program. So we are identifying 2 entities. One is the legal entity, which could be the government, and the other are the basically data companies that are harboring our data, like Google, Facebook, etc. Now once we've done that, we have 1 problem, 1 solution, we can move to the next one, which is to the consumption of information. Another problem is that fake news. It is whatever you read on the internet is not going to be true. And once you establish this second problem, you can then come to why it's happening. And once we explain that yes, internet is given a voice to everybody through a forum or a blog, anybody can publish whatever information they want, then as a result they can misinform the public en masse. And since we've developed our problem, we can come to the solution now, which is this problem could be mitigated by requiring social network websites. Again, we identify who is responsible for taking the action. It is very important. You get 5% of task response score just because of identification. And then whose job would be to check the validity of any news article before it is shared online. It is only a dream wish. Actual में कभी ऐसे नहीं होना. In conclusion, we conclude very simply by saying we basically in one sentence we highlight both of the problems, and then in the next one we highlight both of the solutions and we summarize them. We do not write generically. ये नहीं लिखना कि in conclusion, internet, there are two problems with the internet and there are two ways to solve it. That is a very bland and generic conclusion and will not give you any sort of score. So I summarize करें अपने key points वापस, and that's that. ठीक है. सो अगर ये इंटरनेट सोल्यूशन वाला जो है वो समझ आ गया, लेट्स जस्ट क्विकली जंप टू द लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी वन. So this is the same type of question again, and it says in the developed world average life expectancy is increasing. What problems will this cause for individuals and society, and suggest some measures that could be taken to reduce the impact of aging populations. Now it has asked us for problems, but there is a key difference here which is very slight, subtle, but still there, which is that it is asking for two types of problems, one for individuals and one for society, and it is our job to make sure that we highlight both types of problems here. Okay, we have to identify because the question has basically उसने specific कर दिया question. So once we do that, we're going to get the full task response score. 25% score हमें पूरा मिलेगा, and we want to get that because it's just there up for grabs. So what we're going to do, we're going to rephrase the question by saying it is important to consider the impact that the developed world's increasing life expectancy will have on both societies and their active citizens. And this essay again वही जो है आपने एक line में बताना है. You have to state your plan. This essay will discuss some of the problems and which might arise and propose some ways to mitigate the issues as well. Now coming to the first paragraph, format हमने वही रखा है, एक paragraph में एक problem, एक solution. With regards to individuals, since it has asked us for individuals, तो हम पहले individual problems को देखेंगे. One of the main issues is like to be the cost of living. And this is because of a greater number of people live out more of their lives in retirement. They may run out of money in their pensions and thus have to depend on their families for financial support. And then we give an example. And then after that, after we've given that example, we can then propose the solution, which is to combat this problem. The government should raise the age of retirement. In doing so, people will be better prepared to cover the cost of their extended lives. It is very important to remember कि आपने सिर्फ एक छोटी सी लाइन का solution नहीं देना. You have to expand it a little. At least it should make sense, or it should be a complete thought. As for societies, ठीक है, अब हम क्योंकि उन्होंने पूछा था जी एन मैथ्स क्या होता है, तो मोस्ट प्रेसिंग प्रॉब्लम इज one of unemployment. Now this is due to the fact that with the general rise in health and population on the globe, more and more people will be in work for longer periods, and therefore there will be fewer and fewer jobs to go around. Consequently, young people especially will find it difficult to break into their desired professions. So this is another problem. And how do we solve this? We say the government needs, again we're highlighting who needs to do this. The government needs to invest in new technologies in order to create new fields of work. With new technologies appear new jobs, therefore plugging the potential hole in unemployment. So once again, वही format रखा है, problem solution. In conclusion, two of the main dangers for individuals and societies, which is a longer lifespan, may present are financial troubles and joblessness, and however these problems should be minimized if the government raises the retirement age and spends wisely on new technologies. And this is how we finish this. So it's very easy, very straightforward. I don't think it'll give you any trouble. What else is there? So you see these blue highlighted words. They're there. You can obviously use them. They're very good transitive words within the paragraph and within the body. So if you ever want to use them, feel free to pick and choose. Although I'm sure you'll do your own as well. Okay? But if you like, you can use these. Okay? What else? What else? I think that this kind of concludes it. Okay? If you have any questions, please let me know.